Hey everyone, welcome to episode 21 of PixlFeed Radio. I'm your host, Christian Lovrecich, and I'm with my friend Phil Kiprianou. I just stumbled on your last name. Kyprianou. What's going on, man?
Kyprianou. You can say it like the Italian way.
All right, I can go try to say it the French way. Oui, oui. So, man, exciting past couple of weeks, I guess. It's Facebook's been a mess. Who knows what they're doing? But we want to talk about, we both launched new brands, like literally in the middle of this pandemic.
Yeah.
And we were both like climbing, like it was on track. And it's like, guys, if you're listening to this, you got to remember, we've been doing this for a long time. So when we launched, we did all the work and we have all the launch for a long, long time. So when we launch, we can go hard right away because we know. And still, you run into problems. Like I was up to $35,000 in sales in the first 3 weeks, and I was taking it easy because I wanted to make sure that, the processes were in place, everything was in place. And then Facebook just threw that curveball that it's like, oh my God, dude, like seriously, you're doing this to me right now. So, and Phil right here, he launched a brand as well. So we're in two separate niches. Mine is in fashion. Yours is, I guess you could say, food. So it's a coffee brand, right?
Brand, yeah, exactly.
But you have your own problems to deal with that we've been talking about. I've been trying to help you too with the context that I have here in the US. So why don't we talk about that? Let's start with yours.
Yeah, sure. Basically, it's a bit of a relaunch of the brand. GothRider has been there since 2015. We were deeply hard, I would say, on anything related to motorcycle accessories, jewelry, apparels, and things like that. And then we changed a bit the direction around 2018. 2019, I took a step back just to review the brand and what it was I was going to do. And bang, COVID-19 appeared in 2020. And that pushed me to review even more where I was even going at first in terms of the relaunch of the brand. And I was a fan of coffee. I already looked like a couple of years ago to launch a coffee brand, but didn't have the right partners, and it didn't go along with the suppliers that I had back then. And I was consulting basically for a client that had a big roastery here in Quebec. And I talked about it, the possibility and all this kind of thing. And within 2 weeks, we were launching. I had the rebrand, the labels, the coffee blend and everything. So we were really able to do that fast. And when I launched, I had some sort of an issue. I couldn't launch to United States first. So most of my clients that I have and I had also built during all this 5 years, were in the US, and I couldn't sell coffee to the US directly because of the FDA. So FDA has specific rules in terms, as soon as you sell, food stuff, food things that you can ingest, in your body, there are rules that you need to go through, and you need to get this FDA approval, facility approval, and all this kind of stuff. And it took me I got it yesterday. So we got it 60 days. It took to got the approval, went through it, find the right people, because it's not something that it was easy. They tell you, go on the website, try to figure out, open an account and all. It's not really like that. It's never as easy as you think, especially with government stuff,
Yeah, so when you told me you were launching the brand, which by the way, I love, we talked about this, but just so everybody knows, I love the branding, I love the palette, I love the look. I actually had a client in the coffee space as well, and they wouldn't listen to me. So I don't even know if they're still around, but you did exactly what I try to do with them, with the color palette, the branding, the look. Obviously, we know what we're doing. So of course we look at all that stuff, red, white, black, right? And I knew the competitors you were going after because I did the exact same research for this client. And I think the packaging looks great. The product looks great. I haven't had a chance to taste it because you can't ship it to me, which sucks. Well, now you can. I just found out that you got the approval. So that's one thing that even crossed my mind when you were telling me you were doing it. It was that you need all these crazy permits to sell in the US since you're in Canada, So I put you in contact with one of my friends who's an attorney. My wife is an attorney, so we have a pretty big network of friends that are attorneys. So I know you talked to her, but I haven't caught up with you since then. She put you in touch with the right people to get it done, and that's how you got it done?
Yeah, basically she put me in touch with two firms that are really specialized in that, and I got, I contracted one of these firms that she referred me. And it went like super fast. So that was good because within a week, I was almost up and ready. We were just waiting, to get the approval from FDA, got the confirmation, and we are there. This week having that. So it went like quite fast. I just could have imagined if I could have found that, day one or even like day one, I knew about it. But it's part of the process. You get through all these hoops and things like that. And now, now it's done. So the next step for me, and while that, I was looking for a fulfillment house because the issue is sending coffee box individually to each people in the United States. It's another problem because you have to fill what they call a prior notice. Prior notice, you file, it's paper basically that you send to FDA telling them that I'm going to ship like this coffee to this people, and if they want to inspect, they can hold that at the customs, do the inspection and things like that. So, but imagine I need to send that, I think 24 to 48 hours prior ship. So if someone buys it, I need to fill that up, then send it there, wait 48 hours before I ship it, and imagine if I have like 100 orders per day to manage. It's like, you cannot manage that much of prior notice per day. It's like insane. So yeah, I had to find a fulfillment house. And after that, finding a fulfillment house, there's, again, some issues because you need to find a fulfillment house where there's not so much humidity because you are storing food again. And coffee is known also that it needs to be in a dry place. You cannot be in a humid place because you will lose a bunch of flavors, and you can have also, some bacteria coming in, so you don't want that. So we went around, and finally I got a friend again in my network that has a fulfillment house in Las Vegas. So it's, it's say, okay, let's do it. It's no brainer. There's no humidity in Las Vegas.
Yeah, I was going to say, Florida's out of the picture. I'm like, I know a couple of people with warehouses here, but then as soon as you saw the humidity, I was like, Florida's out. There's no way.
So we went through that, and now, next step is probably within 2 or 3 weeks, we'll be able to send our first pallet and start selling. So now, I have like the Canadian side and I have the US side. So I need to, do some cleaning on the US side so I can bring, the new theme, the new customer experience that I've developed to Canada to do it in the US, and we'll start running the ads. So, but that brings me to something that we've discussed is while you were, doing your ads in the US, I was stuck doing my ads in Canada. And we had similar stuff, but different stuff also going on.
yeah, we did.
So that's again like some challenges that we're running after,
So So what about Europe? What about if you want to open up to Europe? Then you got to find a fulfillment place in here somewhere in Europe as well.
Yes, and it's going to be the same kind of stuff. So we will need to go through their food and health agency to fill papers and figure out,
Oh my God! So you get man.
The big plan there is probably to find a roaster partner in Europe. Something also we have discussed for Australia. Find a same thing there, and being able to develop a specific blend for each of these countries, because that's big. I would say that's the biggest issue, is to find someone that can do the same blend, which is almost impossible. So we will have to launch separate brands to each of these countries, except if I can find, some sort of distributor that is willing to take over all this paperwork and importation things, or someone that might have experience already doing this, because there's a lot of food importers, so they have been running through hoops, but doing that myself, it's going to be like very time consuming. And anyway, for now, the market, my main market is US, and Canada. So that's already enough to start growing things, slowly but surely. You know, we're only like 60 days in, you know, so far. So there's plenty of time, and there's also strategy in terms of acquiring like clients. I mean, coffee is an interesting business because almost everyone drinks coffee. There's so many roasters out there. I mean, so many coffee shops out there. There's so many big brands out there. So the market is huge. It's not saturated. I mean, it just needs, you just need to have the right messaging for your niche. But there's perception of the product. So one thing that we found out is we sell our blend, as a premium blend. So and it is premium. I mean, the quality of the beans and all this kind of thing, how it is prepared. I mean, we're using the traditional blending method and Italian roasting method, that they use in Italy and all this kind of stuff. So it's very unique on that point.
I got a question. So when you were coming up with the idea, how did you choose the blend? Was it based on like asking people, doing some type of research, or was it like, this is the blend that I personally like, so I want to put it out there?
Yeah. So basically, the first blend, we wanted like to create some sort of a statement out there. We know, I mean, the competitors. There's Dead Wish Coffee that has been there, for the longest time, and have this very big statement as the strongest coffee in the world. We wanted to have a strong coffee, but we are not necessarily there to make it a big statement like that. Since, I mean, GothRider is much more of a lifestyle business, where we are in coffee, yes, first, but we sell also, T-shirt, hats, and a bunch of other stuff. But coffee for us, it's a way to enter in people's life. And for us, I mean, it's much more about, what the bikers are into. It's life free, live free. It's about, pushing the limits and things like that. So it's much more about that kind of statements than, having only something that is all about the characteristic of only one product, and that's one thing I didn't want to, because for many years I've focused only on products in terms of a business lifestyle, and that's most important because and especially I found out during the pandemic, because I've seen all this business crumbling because they were only focused on products, and when these products they were not able to fulfill, or it was not any more important for people to buy them, I mean, they just ran out of business. And compared to businesses that have add good statement on their lifestyle, you can think about Nike and other big brands like that. I mean, it's much more. I mean, people are going to still buy shoes, even like during pandemic. They're going to buy other stuff. We've seen like fitness, going up like crazy.
Oh yeah.
So and it's not only about that. I mean, it's bigger than that. So I had like to think about how to reposition myself and the business around these core beliefs, basically, of the business itself. So so basically, if I come back about the blend and things like that, so having that in mind, when I talked to my roaster, I told him, that's one thing I'm looking. I had a lot of problem in terms of acidity in coffee, with all the coffee. So I said, there's a lot of people that have the same issue also. They love coffee, but now, I mean, they stop drinking it because it creates too much acidity. So we had to find like the perfect blend, which there was not much acidity, where the flavor was there, where it was still strong coffee, and where you can find much more caffeine than the regular one as well.
Yeah.
Basically in the beans. So we looked at what was possible. We taste what was already there, and we found out like the blend that fits with our core values, and with I think that and a good taste as well. And so far, I mean, that's what our customers are telling us. I mean, they're super. They really love and enjoy the coffee, and that was one thing that was very important, because since our pricing is much more higher than the regular coffee, we needed to make sure that, it was not going to taste shit, and to try to oversell something that the value is not there. But soon as they got in, they say, okay, yeah, that's true. It makes sense. I mean, that the coffee is at that pricing. But there's a lot of education regarding the coffee business and the coffee industry, like especially for me and you, in terms of everyone there, because coffee business is where beer or microbrewery was 10 years ago.
I was just about to say that. Yeah, I think it's going heading that way for sure.
So there's more micro roaster that are trying to reshape the industry of coffee, creating new blends, creating new techniques, creating new flavors, and exactly like beer, like it was like back then. And now, microbrewery, I mean, you can find one in almost like every city has their own, even like bars, now you go into bars and they have their own blend. I mean, they're making their own beer there locally,
For sure.
And that's one thing that is coming there. I mean, we're seeing that a lot in California. I mean, there's lots of coffee shop now that they're roasting also themselves, and they try new stuff, new trending stuff, and all this kind of thing. So this is where, I mean, globally the market here is, and that's why, I mean, there's a very good and huge opportunity right now. And if you define your niche correctly, your messaging and all this kind of thing, you're going to be able to resonate and to take a part of the market. I mean, that's it.
Right. Now, and what about the beans? Are the beans from Canada or from somewhere else? And then everything's roasted in Canada?
Yeah, I mean, so the beans, I mean, you cannot grow beans in Canada. I mean,
that's what I figured. That's what I was asking. I was like, I don't think Canada is known for coffee, but
yeah. So beans are grown. Our beans are grown in Ethiopia and in India for a very small part of the blend that we're using, which is Robusta coffee. So there's two type of coffees that are the most popular. So Arabica coffee is probably one that is the most popular at all. I mean, you are going to see that 100% Arabica on things and on bags and things like that. And Arabica, it's like wine. You have like I don't know how to say that in English, but cépage. You have like a type of wine, a type of grape that is coming and can grow only on that kind of places in the world.
Right.
So it's a bit like the same kind of stuff. So you have Arabica grows. Coffee started basically in Ethiopia, so in Africa. I mean, that's where it is coming. That's
in Ethiopia, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's the original source of coffee. Then, I mean, there's regions. It's even like much more, I would say,
it's like wine. I mean, it really is like wine. I mean, I stopped drinking sugar with my coffee, like literally, I think it was like 10 years ago when I quit smoking, started working out. And once I took the sugar out of it, like, when I drink straight black coffee, I can taste the difference on different types of coffee. Like, to me, like, I love going, like, I'll have Starbucks every once in a while, but when I go to Starbucks, I'll order like a caramel macchiato, triple shot, whatever. And that's all fucking sugar, right? Mm. But if I drink Starbucks, just regular black coffee or espresso, to me, it tastes like shit. It's very like, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. It has a strong flavor to it that I just personally don't like, right? But Colombian coffee, 100% Colombian coffee, which is what I drink at home, to me tastes really good. And then like my wife will make like in the afternoon like a hazelnut coffee, just like just as a pick me up type of deal. And I can taste the sweetness on that coffee. I can't remember what brand it is, and you can taste the difference. It really is like wine. If you clean your palate and you take the sugar out of it, you can really taste it.
Absolutely. I mean, that's what they call cupping. Basically, it's when you start tasting different, and it's the same thing in wine. I mean, you got to start smelling, trying to see which flavor, which type of acidity you can get, which type of even like how can I say that sugar tasting and things like that. I mean, like
a sommelier. Yeah. Is there sommeliers for coffee? I'm sure there is.
Yeah, it's exactly the same thing. So yeah, you have like this two big important like type of I would say like beans. So you have the Arabica beans and you have the Robusta beans, and they are now, I mean, they are spread over multiple countries. I mean, but the most popular countries are Ethiopia, India, you have Colombia, you have Brazil, And all of these, even if they are the same type of bean, they have their own taste because it changed with where you make it grow, so the ground there is different than from another place, and it will create like some flavors because there's different type of minerals going inside this. So it's very complex, and it's fun at the same time. But it's exactly like wine. So there's a lot of belief, there. Like, I mean, like Jamaica also, they have like their Blue Mountain Jamaican coffee that is very renowned because, again, it's about, their it's the ground where they're growing it, so it has like some kind of particularities depending of where it is coming. So finding the right blend is a lot of work, and that's the master roaster basically that takes care of that, and same thing for the flavors. Now, I mean, you can find different kind of flavors in terms of coffee, and they're mixing, while they're roasting it, they're mixing with some oil or sometimes with other stuff that gives like this kind of flavors or of a floral, whatever. I mean, they can tweak that. And the same thing that they're doing with beer, basically. You can create like blueberry beer or whatsoever,
That's the type of beers I like, and my friends make fun of me, dude. I'm all about like, oh, pineapple beer, yeah, give me that. Strawberry beer, give me that. I love it. I love sweet. Like, everyone makes fun of me. All my friends, make fun of me because of the beers that I drink. I don't like IPAs. I think they taste, personally, I think they taste like absolute shit.
Another fan as well.
I don't like them. I don't.
Yeah.
And I think it's funny that they make fun of me because I like the fruity beers. I'm like, I don't care. It tastes good. Like I can't think of any names right now because they're all local. Again, local breweries, from Fort Lauderdale. It's like, Floridian pineapple, whatever it's called. I can't even remember the name right now on the spot, but that's like one of my favorites. And it's the same with coffee. You can smell it in the beer. Like when my wife is setting up the coffee machine the night before we go to bed, while the kitchen and the living room, it's open. So, and she's like very far away from me. And when she opens that back and starts putting it in the coffee machine, I literally can catch a whiff of the smell, and it smells good, man. Mm-hmm. It's about the whole experience. So I can see how that type of product, it's like, it grabs people, and it's very passionate. And obviously caffeine is addictive too. Oh, sure. Let's look at ourselves. But the good thing, it's good. It's not bad for you. So who cares? It's good, right? Yeah. So, wow, man. So you've been through a lot. Okay. So once you came up with the idea and all that stuff, blah, 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 and how did you test? How did you start testing?
So I started testing very straightforward, So in terms of the structure, I was looking to find what could attract the eye of the people, So basically what I did is I did a mix between good copy on the image and finding image that was going to talk. So we tested.
Hold on.
Yeah.
When you started testing, did you get a mock-up of the product first, or you were already in on the, it was already made?
Yeah, I mean, the product was already made. I got a 3D mock-up, of the bags and the visual and things like that.
Right.
Then I looked for personas. Yeah, here we go.
You're making your customer avatar.
Yeah,
that's what he's getting at.
Customer avatar, and I tried to look for stock pictures that was matching these people. So I've literally went through, I don't know, like hundreds of pictures of male and female, and trying to get, as near as much I was looking in terms of avatar that would represent the brand. Put the image on it. Put a very nice slogan. Coffee made the badass way. Basically, that's our slogan.
I love it.
Used the dynamic creative in Facebook, basically. So I put like 10 creatives there, using like the same headlines, and I was looking like for the creative that was going to bring me the most traction, or at least the most comment and share first.
Yeah.
Build it on that. Find a couple of goods, like probably like 3 good pictures. Narrow that down in individual ads, and starting to test it, but in a single product. So I was not going already, in the full, quantity breaks, bundles, and things like that. I wanted like to see first, is there any traction in terms of sale? Got sales. was mostly breaking evens on these sales and even like losing money, but I didn't care because the goal there was just see, is there like anyone that really wants that kind of products or is willing to buy it? If yes, I mean, after that, it's just about tweaking the offer, tweaking the image, tweaking whatsoever. So when that like a bit like for, I think like 2 weeks, and then we started like doing bundles, like doing like 2 bags. We found out like doing bundles was doing great, testing again images and things like that. Then we did bigger bundles with bags and mugs, did work great. And we were able like to start scaling from that point. Now, the issue I went through is inventory, not from the side of the coffee, but the
inventory from the
inventory, from mugs and T-shirts, ads, and all this kind of stuff. I mean, and I'm still struggling right now with that. Is the problem is, first of all, I was used, for all these years doing drop shipping and print on demand. So I said, you know what, I'm going to connect, stuff on print on demand. Find out that it was not a very good idea because all print on demand during the COVID was very late in terms of delivering, producing, and all this kind of stuff.
I know.
I know. You know about it. So
yeah.
Then after that, when I figured this out, I went, to buy in bulk. But bulk, I mean, you need to put money. So I had like to get more money out from my pocket, to buy like stuff in bulk. And when I figure out that it was even like taking 3 weeks to get the stuff, So it was like I was burning money, to only sell basically 2 bags, 1 bag here instead of being able, to sell like bundles that were really profitable and that I would have been able to scale. And during that time, like, we got like all the issues that you can think of that Facebook has, so it was fighting against. But the problem with that is I cannot like just stop ads like that, because I need to prove over and over that I can still sell coffee even if I'm losing money during that time.
Right.
Because it's a game of acquiring customer at first, then bringing them into subscription, so more people you have in front of you that you can gather the first time, give them the coffee customer experience. Then after that, you're able to switch them into subscription. Selling subscription at first, it's feasible, but it's harder, to do it. Then if someone, how do you want to commit to something if you never? How do you want to marry, a girl if you never dance with it? No, then it was something possible, but not now.
Right. No one wants to subscribe to something that they don't know if they haven't tried it.
Exactly. So the thing is, it's a wonderful model. I mean, having like a subscription and consumable product, but you still need to put the effort. And when you have 2 of the pillars that are the most important that are playing against you, it's harder, So needing like to fight against, your suppliers, inventory suppliers, and fighting against Facebook, Google, whatsoever as, So what I came in is I started like to do contests. I started to do contests every week to be able basically to start building a list and figure out that my content.
Stop right there. Yeah. What were you building from day one? Because I mentioned this on every video. What were you building from day one?
Contest? No,
the list.
Oh, the list. Yeah, the share for the list.
The list, right? List.
So we're building the list. I mean, we were building the list from day one using Woollio, using pop-ups, using all this kind of stuff, But, contests came, when things started, to just not doing like the way I wanted with Facebook. So I said, I'm gonna starting driving a contest. I used to have a lot of success with that, even quizzes. We started doing quizzes and a bunch of things like that, running that only with link clicks, no optimization on lead ads or anything like that, just straight up. We just want to acquire people. People loved. I mean, we were getting about, with about like $20 per day. We were running a contest and having like an average of 500 subscribers per week. So it was like, I don't know, like 25 cents, a lead, and that's okay. I mean, I don't care. The goal here, like you say, is to put as many people in the funnel, and at least like building a list that you will be able later to indoctrinate. So I would say I'm going like super aggressive, you know, and that kind of stuff, because it's very personal. It's a model that I would say believe in. So I don't know if the way I work right now for my own brand, I would work the same way with my clients. You know, I would probably be more careful in the way I work with them, you know, but all the strategies, the know-how, the understanding and all this kind of stuff that I went through the back years, I say, you know what, I'm all in that. You know, I don't care. You know, I want to build that huge list, indoctrinate people, make sure they know about the brand, give them as much as possible. You know, if they have any issue, they make their own choice in there when they're buying stuff. I mean, I'm going to give them that for free. I mean, I don't really care. I mean, I want to have #1 customer experience, have less friction as possible. Another issue we had regarding that, we had Canada Post. I mean, like USPS, having huge backlog in terms of delivery. So we have people we're shipping, you know, one day, I mean, we're shipping and they get the next day. Then the other one, they're waiting 1 month to get their stuff and they're like 15 kilometers apart. I mean,
I get anxiety opening the customer support inbox. I get anxiety. I really do.
I hear you there.
Because you know what I went through a year ago.
Yeah.
You know what I went through a year ago. So it's like, I'm still traumatized by that experience. Those of you that don't know what I went through a year ago, I'll make it real quick. I had a great idea for a store. I took my time like Phil did here. I was going to turn it into a brand, blah, blah, blah. I take my time. Long story short, the supplier lied to me. They didn't have enough. And then they kept stringing me along. Oh, they'll go out in a week. They'll go out in a week. They'll go out in a week. It turned into like literally 90 to 100 days before people got their product. So it was like constant, me and VAs like just keeping the inbox on there. And listen, I get it. I totally get it. Like, but you know, the thing is that people don't think about is that if it was up to me and I will give you all your money back because the headaches are just not worth it. But the problem is if I do that, then my merchant account gets hit and then I can lose it. That's the 50-50 balance that you got to find. So you got to work. It's like, please, this is not a scam. I promise. You know, it's just basically begging them to just hold out and you offer them free stuff and all this stuff. And that's the only way you can do it. And that was a horrible experience for me. And it was a really kick in the nuts because I really took my time with that store, and just to be destroyed by one supplier that pretty much lied to me. Because once that feedback score hit 1, forget it. I'm not going to spend the money to bring it back. I'm not. It's too expensive. And then to rename it, relaunch it, I didn't want to deal with it again. So I was like, screw it. I'll do something else, which is the store that I just launched. And luckily, I caught the package as being almost 30 days, taking 30 days to get there. And I cut off the US right away. I was like, pivot, Australia, New Zealand, Germany, UK, because those were still between 10 to 14 days, and people are cool with that. They have no issues. So yeah, you gotta roll with the punches, right?
Absolutely. And that's what, I mean, that pushed me also to, since I was also starting fulfilling myself and all this kind of stuff, it's where really I could say that made the difference, that made the click also inside my mind. So, you know, the whole thing right now that I'm doing is really testing fast PODs, seeing, okay, it's working, switching fast to bulk order, you know. So like that, I know that when I have bulk, I mean, first of all, when we are stopping selling, you know, POD, we put sold out. So the product is not anymore available. We make sure that we get stock in our end before we're selling anything else after. And that, I can say, made a huge difference in customer experience, especially the one that we're receiving like faster than the other one. And also, it creates like some sort of reflex in terms of, okay, what we're going to do next. You know, we're able like to sell, I don't know, like 12 of these or 20 of these in the next like 20 days. Okay, so that means that we're going to be able like to sell 100. So let's order a bulk of 100 right now. We know it's going to be there in 3 weeks, and let's try to figure out other thing in the end. At a certain point, what you're going to have is a bunch of inventory. Yeah, for sure, inventory that are going to sit there. But if these are the right products, can be always used and rotate between them in terms of promotion, bundles, and things like that. Another thing also I found out in terms of thinking about this is, you know, right now it's probably the best time of the year to bulk stuff and orders at your warehouse or stuff, because what's going to come in is in September, and we went through this like multiple times, from September to the second week of January, it's going to be like crazy in terms of sales, you know. So we know that if we bulk right now, we're going to sell it. And if we're not able to sell, we're going to cut the price by 2, and we're going to be able like to get rid of it anyway, anyhow. So it's better to test now, bulking now, and then after that, I mean, you're going to be able to sell anything, you know, from September to, but the issue is the cash, you know, because you need to create a good amount of cash to be able like to get this bulk and make sure they will be sitting there, because normally, I mean, July, August is not the best time of, I mean, for multiple business to sell, you know, except if you're outdoor stuff and things like that, you know.
That's what I'm dealing with right now. Like the most I've sold in the past is, T-shirts and I've done some fitness stuff, but not to the scale that I've done now. Because I exited. I sold my most successful ones. I sold early, so I didn't get to deal with a lot of volume like I'm starting to do now. And I got crazy. I went with over 100 SKUs right off the gate.
Wow.
Right off the gate, and it's all fashion, so it's different sizes. So the issue that I'm having is like, oh my God, it's not like just 5 that are selling. It's like literally 80% of them, which is great. Don't get me wrong. It's fantastic. It's awesome. But now I got to figure out like, how am I going to bulk order all of this? Like, that's a lot of money. And then I got to figure out like what sizes, you know, I got to look at my data, but this store has only been running for like literally a month and a half. So I don't have that much data to go by. You know what I mean? And then between that and trying to scale your ads, you know, you're putting a lot of money on the table between everything. So it's like, I'm running into it's not really an issue. I'm trying to figure out like, how am I going to approach this? Like, do I do a hybrid? Do I just order the top 5 just to start and then keep drop shipping the rest? Yeah. And then, but I'm ready to private label. I hit that point, but I'm ready to private label. So like, how am I going to do that? It's like, I know how to figure it out, but I'm just like, I don't know which move to make first, if that makes sense.
That's one thing for sure. Like you say, I mean, if you start doing orders and fulfilling it yourself and bulk order, you need to private label them. That's 100%. If not, I mean, it's like, I mean, you're spending dollars for someone else's brand or for no brand. I mean, you're not building anything. And that's one thing we did with the mug is we order 500, and there's going to be like 500 others that are going to come by sea. Just a matter of, I mean, shipping is so expensive these days, so we had like to split. But since we need it like very fast, but one thing we said, if we're going to order 1,000 of them, I mean, there's no way I'm going to put others' brand into it. I mean, I want to make sure that I'm going to get my own branding on the box that's going to contain the mug. So like that, when people receive it, first of all, I mean, it's again, customer experience and brand experience. They're gonna see, wow. Then that's gonna stick in their head, and they're gonna start being part of the brand instead of having like someone else or no name or anything like that. Because this is an investment, but that investment will come back to you.
No, I mean, there's no doubt that I'm gonna turn into a brand. That's been goal from day one. I mean, I'm just trying to figure out how to blow this up with, you know, the smart way. Because of course, what did I do the first month? I wanted that ego screenshot. You know what I mean? So I went hard, and then I run into the shipping problems. Like, all right, bring it back. You know what I mean? And now Facebook, the past 2 weeks has been a freaking mess. Like, everybody's been complaining about it. It's not just us. It's a lot of people. Like, we have no idea what's going on, man. So it's like, you got to be ready for these curveballs. Like, I stopped my ads. I literally turned them back on this morning, and it's doing okay so far. So, you know, you got to be prepared for stuff like this.
Facebook has been a mess. We've seen that kind of issues like almost every year at a certain point. I mean, we're seeing that. I mean, twice a year now, I would say, like major issue outage, or, you know, like even there, like 2 days ago, there was a DDoS attack. So, I mean, there's things that are out of control. And that mess, you know, with anything, you know, again, like yesterday, I think Mark Zuckerberg announced that you were going to be able like to hide or remove political ads ever from your profile or something like that. I mean, each change that you're doing, it's playing with the algo each time, So, and if you're going through a DDoS attack, that's going to mess again a lot of stuff in the back end. I mean, if the AI stop for one day working, it screw everything. It has to reset and restart the relearning. What caused the problem? It caused problem.
It's an auction. Most people don't know this. It's an auction. It's an auction that runs in a mathematical algorithm, and if you stop it, it has to recalculate everything from scratch, and it's just not. How many advertisers does Facebook have? I don't even know. Like,
I think there's about 10 millions now.
I mean, think about that. And it's not only 10 million advertisers, it's 10 million advertisers in all of their campaigns.
Yeah.
So it's frustrating though. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And it plays after that, with your targeting, it plays with your lookalike audience, it plays with your custom audience. So you're starting from scratch there. I mean, you have to reset almost everything, you have to recreate almost everything to make sure everything will be in line with that, and it takes days. And it's a hit or miss, like yesterday I had like a very good day. Today is like super shit. And tomorrow, what is going to be? I don't know. So there's no consistency.
I just want it to be consistent. I just want consistency. Like, give me a month of just consistency.
Exactly.
That's all I ask for. I think it's going to get better. I think it's going to get better now with like quantum computing and stuff like that once they start upgrading the servers and all that stuff, because, it's all about mathematical equations and how fast the system can solve those equations and all that good stuff. And what did I lose your image? I lost your image. But you're still there. I can still hear you.
Yeah, that's good. It's just like my camera went out of battery. I mean,
that's all right. So I think with quantum computing, eventually it's going to be instant, and that's when you're really going to see a smooth, performance when it comes to the auction. Like if they do some kind of update, it won't take us long to recover from it. You know what I mean? I think that's what's going to happen. That's my, and it's not like they're like they're doing it themselves. Facebook has server farms and stuff like that. But I think, do they still host their stuff on Amazon with AWS, or is their own server farm?
I don't know if they still run. I think they have their own server farm now. I mean,
So now it's just a matter of time. Like, okay, when are they going to upgrade their hardware? Which I'm sure they're upgrading all the time. So I don't know.
It's nonstop. I mean, nonstop, everything.
I just hate when they concentrate on making, Business Manager like a Fisher Price toy instead of concentrating on what matters, performance. Once you figure out your performance part, then make it look pretty like you want to. You know what I mean?
I mean, the issue has always been like a battle between customer experience on the platform and the advertiser on the other side. I mean, then they have like this issue internally. I mean, for the longest time, what we're doing. Even like from day one. I mean, Mark didn't want to have any ads on his platform, and after that, when they see that, I mean, they need that to pay for the servers and things like that. Then they got like the investors, and they say, we're going to turn this into money. I mean, I spent like multiple millions on that. I mean, I want my money back. Okay, we're going to start like putting ads, and finally they figure out like, with all this data, we can basically do anything we want, and targeting and everything like change like from.
It's crazy. He's never hide that either. Like from day before they want, like, I don't want advertisers. Like, I don't care. Like it's documented and everything. So it's like, he couldn't care less. For him, it's all about building a social network where everyone can communicate. I don't even think like people think like he's like this mastermind. It's like, all I wanted was data from day one. I'm sure that's part of it. But if you really read the story of Facebook told by the people that were there, which I have, right? Like not the social media movie, not the social network, because that's all bullshit. Like you hear the real story, and it was well thought out from day one. And he said from day one, I don't want ads. I don't want ads. The only reason they had to do ads is because that's the only way that they could figure out how to make money. And it was brought in by the CEO that used to be the CEO of Pepsi, which is his mentor. He's like, dude, we got to monetize this. Everybody has to make their money back. And now it's one of the most powerful advertising platforms in the world, which is crazy.
Yeah, totally.
And when he brought Sheryl Sandberg, she's like, okay, I'll make this awesome. She's the brains behind the advertising platform.
Really Yeah.
She brought all her experience from Google. Man, we've been like going for like 45 minutes.
Yeah, and I have another call in a few minutes. So
yeah, so we got to cut it off. I was going to talk about my store too, to compare the launch and everything like that. But I guess we're going to talk about how to launch a brand in the middle of a pandemic and how it's going. So I'm going to touch back with you in a couple of months, and we'll have another podcast and figure out, give an update on that. But everybody watching on YouTube, thank you so much. Make sure you hit the like button. That helps the algorithm. Subscribe to the channel. And Phil, where can everybody find you?
I mean, they can find me on Facebook for sure, Facebook.com/Phil Kiprianou, or even like just go on GothRider.ca or .com, grab a good coffee, Here we go.
Yeah, I'll put the links in the description. So everybody, come on. Support Phil, support my channel. Make sure you check out the links in the description. And thank you for watching, and thank you for listening if you're listening on the podcast. Till next time.